Last time on Troublemaker Plays.
My God, a collision. The tanker is ramming the platform. All the oil is spilling out into the sea, and there's absolutely nothing we can do.
SOS, the captain of the tanker here. We have survivors on board. We need a rescue team.
Rodriguez, Eden Initiative. We received a distress call. We've come to help. Get here as fast as you can so we can coordinate the rescue.
I've received some alarming messages from the oil platform. The fire is spreading.
Oil slick is spreading. We must ascertain the extent of the damage so we can respond accordingly. Hey, that was great teamwork. Things might have turned out very differently if you hadn't been here. So, on behalf of the Eden Initiative, thank you.
For once, I have to agree with Miss Rodriguez. You've saved the company from even bigger losses. The company can always use people like you. As a result of losing Plant 13, we'll have to revise our strategy. We can still achieve the objectives set out in the 2-year plan, but only if we start rebuilding immediately. And
Sector scan is registering an unidentified arc. Transferring coordinates.
Epic conclusion.
Warning. Unidentified object registered. Locating source of signal. Coordinates established. Analyzing data transfer. Error 342. Process aborted. Message cannot be fully transmitted. Apologies.
So today we're looking over Chapter 1, Mission 4 of the introductory campaign of Anno 2070. This is a pretty easy chapter so far. So I guess this can be a lot of finding type stuff. Yep.
Error. Poor signal. Connection interrupted.
You can actually see the silhouette of the scientist there. So you actually know already that it's in fact S.A.A.T. Sorry they're in it for you guys, but that's who it is.
Signal successfully boosted. Sender of message, Davy. Professor Dr. Salmon. Position, Head of S.A.A.T. Area of expertise, nanotechnology.
But I don't... There's some unusually strong interference. Recalibrating values. Ah, yes, that is the right frequency modulation. So, we meet at last. Professor Salman Davy, Head of Science at S.A.A.T. I regret your unfortunate situation is not the reason for my being here. I am here because of the Virago, an earlier Ark prototype. Father believes it to be here. Would you help me search for it? I rashly stumbled into it in all the excitement. Now I have no instruments I can use for my search.
Okay, so I see where this goes.
Could you help me by supplying some components?
I guess you have to go to your trading partners and get certain stuff. And I guess there's going to be like little side missions that you have to do. So this shouldn't be anything outside of the bounds of easiness. Yeah.
the Virago. Global Trust was once interested in the technology on board. Davy is getting the salvage arm, and I'm gaining an insight into all the results.
Okay, so that's one. Pretty simple stuff. So yeah, don't forget that we still have our hovercraft here, so we can do all the work here, and we can keep our main ship for the turn-in.
Does Professor Davy think the Ark is here? That was a big scandal. I'll help you with the 3D locator, and you can have all the data you collect during the search.
I'm not sure it was...
Can I inform the board of directors that you were successful? Bear in mind that the company wants all the information you compile about the Baron.
Okay, so I thought that might be a competition quest, but it's not. It's just simply involving two of them at once. Competition quest is one where you offer a quest by one agency, and another one tells you to do a conflicting quest, and that way you can only choose one or the other. I would obviously choose the global, because I mean, that's where I have all my
Warning. Decreased fertility due to
my
pollution.
my point stack to my experience. So what I'm doing here is I'm just expanding my resources here, and that way if I need something, I'll have it. I mean, in these introductory campaigns, there's no bad reason to do this. You're not really worrying too much about the environment here, or you don't have to worry about too much balance. You're only working from one island, so you know, feel free to expand your tax revenue just in case it's needed. It's not true of all the missions, but I mean, it's definitely true of this one. It's also filler, something you need to do in between. And what I'm doing here is I'm building the tier 2 buildings, and this is wood. It's actually good to have a lot of wood because it's pretty much free. You build tree farms, which don't really take any resource off your island, and you build wood, which you can sell later on. So wood's always a good idea.
We'll be putting some pressure on Eden headquarters if this doesn't work.
So yeah, a little bit of waiting time, a little bit of downtime. I'm just waiting for these resources to build so I can do a fast turn-in. It's also just interesting to kind of check out what the other side has, see how their stuff works out. I mean, it's obviously all different, so it's a good opportunity for you. Campaign isn't actually going to give you a lot of room for experimentation, and a lot of times when you try things out, it ends pretty badly for you. You're forced to like really restart these missions over and over and over and over. Not enough trees? That does make sense. There's tons of trees. It's a renewable resource. I guess there's probably a limit on the number of tree farms you can have on these islands. Just gonna build another one which is closer to the trees. Maybe it's based on the actual number of trees in the area, which in that case would make it something really lame that you would only want to use in the boonies and sticks, away from everything, even industry. I'm hoping that's not the case, but it feels like it will be. So, I mean, this is kind of how the game goes. You will have to spend a lot of time just waiting on objectives. And if you find it's taking too long, hit the plus key or the positive key on your numpad. This will speed up the game. Alternatively, if you want to slow down the game so it's easier to target the hovercrafts or aircrafts or any kind of speed vehicle, hit the minus key or the negative key.
Warning. Production breakdown.
And you'll get this production breakdown stuff quite a bit. Basically what that means is that in the chain of your management, there is something that doesn't work. And for efficiency's sake, you should either turn it off, destroy it, or fix it. With this tree farm, I actually should be destroying it because it's in a bad place. If I no longer need a wood, I would just turn off all the production. When you click on a building, there's actually a little spinny thing that shows you progress. You just click on that.
Don't tell me. You made it, didn't you? I can't wait to see if Professor Davy finds the Virago with it.
Okay. So now that we have both modules, just go turn them in. Fortunately, turn in could not be done close enough. Alright. So yeah, let's use an hovercraft to pick it up, and you know, as it turns out, I did need my main ship because the hovercraft only has a cargo hold of 1. The hovercraft is actually like a tier 4
Let's
war
make it
weapon.
so. Yes or no? Ah, the 3D locator. We need it. Scanner, GPS, and synchronization
So we
module.
just gotta turn these in one at a time.
Okay. What's the situation?
It's still there, so we just hit that and
Yes,
moves on.
this salvage arm could be okay to use. First, I just need to separate the gripping pliers from the hydraulics. Excellent.
So when I first read this quest, what I thought it said was that you can turn in either or, as in like you get to keep one ship. So my thought was I'll turn in the hovercraft because there's no enemies around, and really my main ship is better, has more cargo. So I turned this in, and you know I foolishly found out, oh crap, I actually need to turn in both. So yeah, it was kind of silly because I returned my ship to my port. Meaning this took a little bit longer than it had to. And so I did a lot of looking around, trying to figure out problems at home while I was waiting, and this is kind of what you have to do. If you have downtime, settlement, see what needs to be done there, see if there's any improvements need to be done. If there's nothing to do there, go to your ships that are trading. At the moment there are no ships trading. Just figure out if there's any surplus that you can sell off to your allies, which you'll be doing a lot of in later missions. But in this one, it's pretty easy to maintain a balance. And right now I'm trying to think like, oh well, maybe I should expand this because maybe I'll need this later. And so I'm just looking at all the tier 2 tycoon and eco options and what I will have to do for those. Once again, like, it's always good to look around, figure things out, because as I said, you're not going to have a lot of time to figure this stuff out, and if you do, it's just going to really bring you to a staggering halt. Particularly look at the fertility required for that resource, because yeah, it doesn't work on every island, and some of them don't have, so you can kind of see a way that you're going to have to ship goods intertwinedly. So, you know, at this point I did figure out that I'm supposed to move my other ship here, so I do. And I turn it in. Slowly. Did I just...
You were such a great help. The trimaran is now ready. I would love it.
So the trimaran is like your own personal submarine, and
Be my guest. Just press the dive button and we will sink into the depths.
yeah, this is
Don't worry. You are perfectly safe.
pretty basic tutorial on how submarines work. You dive, you scan.
The magnetic interference that disrupted our communications. The Virago may be responsible for that. We must use the scout drone to investigate this phenomenon more closely.
In continuous play, you'll have EMP,
Locating
it's a scout
island.
drone. So it's a tactical ship as well as underground development. So, you know, this is supposed to be the Virago, and you just scout drone this thing and get some results. But you gotta hit 2 other points, which is kind of ridiculous, because the first point you hit is actually the Virago. You can actually even see, like, this is obviously an arc.
Oh, this is interesting. The scout drone is registering the greatest anomalies at this location.
New island coordinates acquired.
What? Underwater islands. Water islands are great sources of oil and provide tier 5 needs and tier 3 needs or tier 2 needs for the S.A.A.T. And when I say tiers, I mean the stature
Analysis data is
of the person
conclusive.
in your society.
There is nothing unusual at this location.
So your grunts are like the tier 1s, your, engineers end up being tier 3s, your employees are tier 2s. Pretty simple stuff. And like I said, like if you want to speed things up, just hit your plus key. But at this point, I really don't realize this, and so I'm kind of doing everything the slow way.
The analysis data is conclusive. There is nothing unusual at this location.
Which we already knew. It's just clear that Brago was. So yeah, just return to him. Kind of standard stuff, do some mission objectives, go back to him. And, maybe he'll give you a reward. Highly doubtful, but possible. In reality, you're probably going to do more scanning.
Okay, what's the situation? Further exploration of the area in total blackness is out of the question. Faster! We have only a short window of opportunity.
It's good to remember all these tools, because these are your campaign tools. You're only going to have so many. I mean, there's the oil spill cleanup, which is not that obvious. Requires a kit for that. And then there's this scouting thing. All these will come into effect later on in the campaign, and you won't have to use them, but I mean they'll make levels winnable. I'm pretty sure without oil spill cleanup or without scout drones, you can't actually finish the final chapter of this game. That's my conclusion, at least. So we're triggering some kind of explosive charge, and you think you'd run away.
The Virago! At last! Oh, for so many years we have been baffled at what happened on the test voyage. We can now use the data log from the Ark to uncover the mystery.
And you could just saw there, like as I exploded it, it became even more clear that it's an arc. One thing the game actually does quite well is that you can actually see the transitions take place as they're happening. It shouldn't be something that's underrated in a game like this.
The oil disaster has
This is,
caused
after all,
heavy
just an
damage in
upgrade
this sector.
of Anno.
Can you check if our measures are taking effect and the ecosystem is recovering?
So yeah, to conclude this mission, you just gotta do these two missions. One from Eden, one from
If you're
Global.
looking for a little support, you've come to the right.
Once again, not competitive, so you can just do both of them, turn them both in. No consequences. The game might actually be better if there were consequences, and that throughout the campaign you have one kind of enemy and one not enemy.
Do you need the Eden Initiative's help?
So far, so good. Let's proceed to the next phase.
So yeah, that's pretty easy enough. Just turning in that information, because as you found out, these guys are hunting for information relating to S.A.A.T, high-tech technologies, which you don't even really get to see until later on. Like for now, you see the submarine, but you never really see their high-tech stuff for at least until the final mission. So just making sure they have all my side quests done, and they don't, so I'll be doing those real quick. Really entirely sure what side quests are going to do for me. I might get some bonus experience with the different factions like for doing this, or it might just be a waste of time. Usually doing side quests makes things easier, but not necessarily true. So this is another one of these explore type things. You just go underwater and use your scout drone on various locations.
Locating island. New island coordinates acquired.
And like I said, if this gets too long for you, hit the plus key, and that will speed things up. So just rounding down. If you're wondering how you get underwater, you mouse wheel up, and that'll put you underwater. And obviously mouse wheel down will put you back up top. So just rounding out these quests. And we're gonna go for a turn in. So yeah, as these videos get longer,
Back
gonna be a lot of
already?
dry periods like
All
this.
done? This is really more luck than judgment. The ecosystem is still
And yes,
contaminated, but
achievements
your data
do
is
roll
showing
over
that
into the
nature is
campaign.
healing itself.
So the more you do the campaign, you're still gonna get more achievements. It's not gonna knock it out. I pretty much almost maxed out quest giving achievements in this campaign. I might have only 20 per faction left.
This explosive charge is extremely safe. I hope I have calculated the explosive power and waterproofing at this depth correctly. The salvage station mustn't be jeopardized by a damaged Virago.
So yeah, we're going just back to the Virago, and we're going to smash it with an explosive charge. This will knock it free, and you'll be able to get the data disk from it. And basically the data disk becomes a central focus of the campaign from now on. I'm not going to give any spoilers or anything, but I mean, yeah, keep playing. It's really, really good. So you just simply
Warning. Production
click,
breakdown.
and this will explode it free. At that point, I just want to check, like, can you actually use this on the move? And unfortunately, you can't. You have to sit still. So that means for any kind of offensive weapons that work like this, you're going to have to take a beating before they take effect.
The empirical evidence that proves I am right. The data log will give us some idea of exactly what happened to the Virago. Okay, let us solve the mystery.
Okay. So, yeah, it feels like a Titanic story, but you'll find out very quickly it's not. Games like this are great because they start with a simple premise of just being a normal guy, and then they bring you to extraordinary circumstances. And this is insanely simple. Like, you start off on an expedition to get oil, and you turn out into this massive plotline. this will actually end this mission. So, I mean, finish any side quests you want to do. I don't have any, so I'm just going to turn in, and that will end that.
Okay. What's the situation? That is sensational. The data log appears to be damaged. It would be very risky to examine it here. I'll have to do this at my office, back at core. The S.A.A.T. HQ is in core. I would be delighted if you would come along with me and help me examine the data log. So, it is off to core. I can hardly wait to study the data from the data log more closely.
Receiving core target coordinates. Course calculated. Procedure initiated.
See, the next chapter is actually called Core, so I mean, you get an idea of what you're going to be doing there. You're going to be working with S.A.A.T. almost primarily. So, hope you really enjoyed this video, and hopefully it was helpful. I'll see you next time with Chapter 2.